Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
We are back, everybody. This is the Beliefcast, and I am your host, Todd Sylvester. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. You guys are the best. We've had some amazing people on lately, and as you guys well know, and it's really the last several weeks have been just frantic downloading and sharing. And guys, thank you so much. I know you've been inspired, and today is going to be no different. But before we get to my guest today, I want to, again, just another thank to my sponsors. I love you guys. I wouldn't be able to do this without your help. So thank you so much. It means the world to me. But today, guys, on the Beliefcast, I'm excited to sit down with Jaxon Cummings. Jaxon, thanks for being here, brother.
It's a pure honor. I love what you do, and I'm just excited to get to spend some more time with you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, just a little side note before I read more about Jaxon here. I won't say exactly what happened, but Jaxon came in here right off the bat with something to share to me so I could share it with others. And it's going to benefit the people here at Wasatch Recovery. And I just want to thank Jaxon for making my day when he had me crying before we even hit record here.
No.
And that's just who Jaxon is, man. He's that kind of person. You guys are going to love him so much. We also started off with a prayer. To be quite honest with you, I don't normally do that, and I realize I probably should do that more often, and Jaxon was also a reminder of that for me. So thanks, Jaxon. But I just wanted to share that with you. I wish you guys could have been here for it. But Jaxon Cummings, he's a master storyteller and the founder of Your Life Legacy. Jaxon helps people capture their life stories so that their wisdom and experiences live on for generations. From working with inspired figures like Schmidt, the piano guy, to hosting Life Legacy podcast, which I've been on. I was one of your first guests, which was really cool. And Jaxon's all about reminding us that our stories matter, that we can make a lasting impact. And you know, Jaxon is one of those dudes that you want to be friends with. And you know, the moment I met you, we were instant friends. I mean, it really was. It was simple. It was easy. And you're just that guy who, you know, you instantly feel safe around you.
Well, I appreciate that a ton. And since we've met, I've really looked up to you. I remember the first time that we did meet, you were speaking on stage at an event, and I was just like, I have to become friends with this guy. And your story is beyond beautiful, and typically we've had phenomenal guests on our podcast for the Your Life Legacy podcast, and when people are like, hey, I want to dive into your podcast, where should I start? I almost always send them like, hey, check out Todd and his story.
Oh,
because
that's awesome.
He's doing great things. And to start, I felt that push because you're someone that is here making a difference in people's lives. And I've had the opportunity to have people I really care about where I've reached out to you for help to help them. And so you've been a lighthouse, a guide, and a helping hand in my life. So I'm very grateful that we're friends.
Thank you. That means a lot, man. You just, again, I just want to sit and chat with you all day, man. It's just, you make me feel so good. It's awesome. Well, guys, you're in for a treat today. So Jaxon, why don't we start off and have our listeners get to know you a little bit? Like, tell us where you grew up and maybe tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah. I think the childhood is always a good place to start. And my childhood, I grew up in Utah, in Farmington, where Lagoon's at.
Yeah.
And my family, I have a family of like fun chaos where it's like our life is so chaotic. And I have 4 other brothers. I'm the second youngest, and I have some unbelievable parents. My mom is a walking angel on this planet. And my dad is a phenomenal giving human and someone that's exceeded in business and philanthropy and helping the world. And so I feel like I had a childhood that was really special. We also roughhouse. It's 5 boys in a home, you know, so there's fights going on. There's sports. Our backyard in Farmington was just a field of grass where we would have a slip and slide, and we'd play sports, and we all broke every bone you can. And so my childhood, most of my friends remember as I was the kid in class that probably made too much noise and had a cast on at all times.
Right. Slip and slides, man, that brings back memories. Those things, the ones I had growing up weren't very good. Like they always would rip, or the water wasn't flowing like it should, so you'd hit the dry spot and get a burn.
You're like, big rash on you. I know those rashes that you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's funny too, like you don't see it as much, and I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of kids don't have casts on anymore. You notice that?
Yeah. It's
like, it seems like I'm obviously a lot older than you, but dude, my generation, man, there was casts everywhere. Everyone had a cast on, it felt like, because we were always outside doing something. Now kids nowadays maybe aren't out as much because of video games and things like that, but I don't see many casts anymore. It's interesting.
I think we're in a society of like inside the home distractions, and it's definitely a different childhood.
For sure.
But
so what were some of the big lessons you learned as a child that you could point out? I know that's a big, broad question, but what were some of the big things that you feel like you took away from your childhood?
Big things, I would say my family, about every year we traveled to Mexico. And so the first thought that came to me was realizing how blessed we are in the United States, and having the opportunity where we would give things to people in Mexico. And so I found a lot of power in travel that gave a perspective to a young child that really altered a lot of my thought processes. Another one that just came to me, and this is maybe a little bit vulnerable about the family. My dad was excelling a lot. He built his dream home, and for the world, it seemed like he had everything. And I remember we were having a conversation one day, and I was around 12 years old, and he was telling me, we had always talked about business and stuff, like it's so ingrained in our blood, and we all love that. But he was telling me his net worth, and it was something like where it kind of stopped me on a dime and added so much confusion, because I was like, okay, this is what everyone strives for and what everyone wants. And I remember looking at him and thinking, I don't understand this, because I don't want your life exactly. Like, and it just taught me around priorities and what really builds fulfillment in a human, where I just learned if money and striving after your work career, if it's in the top probably 2 of your priorities, then I think you can end up having a life that isn't as fulfilling. And so that altered me as a human at 12 years old, where I was like, I need to figure out what actually makes a human fulfilled, and I want to enjoy every aspect of life, and what's the best way to do that? I feel like my dad taught me that there's no ceilings of opportunity and what I can possibly achieve. And I feel like I've had great cheerleaders, and sometimes it hasn't been of like words or even showing up at some of my events, but the actions of my parents showed me that anything and everything is possible.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I want to take in this journey of life, but I want to do it at the biggest scale and at the most fulfilling level of life. And so that's actually taken me on a journey of understanding the art of fulfillment and how to live a fulfilled life. And so that's something I care about a lot. So those are some of the big gems, as well.
Yeah.
When I was around 12, my parents got a divorce, and again we looked
about
like
the same time you were having that. Wow.
we looked like a perfect family. And right around that time, they told me that they were going to be separating.
Wow.
And internally, we're going through something. Externally, we look like the perfect family.
Yeah.
We got everything going for us, but internally, it was a very hard time. And it taught me that, you see those books over there, and it's like whatever the cover looks like, you have to look inside. And so me personally, I will never judge a human on the exterior perspective that I'm seeing of a person.
Wow. Well, so, I mean, obviously that's a tough time at any time for parents to get a divorce, but age 12, probably a lot more difficult because you're a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that? I mean, like as a kid, like here you are 12 years old, you're, obviously very suggestible at that time. You're learning this and that, and all of a sudden your world's getting turned upside down.
Yeah. It's a time of a lot of confusion. I feel like a lot of my childhood, and I had a phenomenal childhood. Of course, there were some rocky moments in my 12 to teenage years, and I think I was just confused, and I was really sad about it too. And something I felt that has always been a case in my life through the ups and downs of my trials and whatever else in life, I feel like God has always had his hand in compensating for some of the hardships that I've gone through. But to answer your question, I think there was just a level of confusion where I acted out. I was a rebellious teen. This is what you should do, and I went against everything on that. And maybe it was like unintentionally seeking attention because I felt like so many things were falling away from my life that I needed. Yeah. I needed that, which my dad's really witty and funny, and so some of the family we've caught on to that a little bit. And so when there were opportunities in school or whatever, we would be the class clowns. I remember, just to like depict of like this little rebellious me, and I only showcase this just because it's like, when you go through that hardship, you don't know how to react. But in 8th grade, I got pretty comfortable in the principal's office, and I remember sitting with the principal, and he's like, every time you come to the office, you get somewhere from like 2 to 5 points, and that goes on your record. The number 2 person at the school has 150 points. Do you have any idea, like, how many points do you think you have? And I was like, I have no idea. And he's like, you have like 280 points. And so I just got very well acquainted with the office. And so I rebelled, and I was probably a lot of teachers' worst nightmares, unfortunately. And I'm sorry if any of you were my teacher and you hear this. I am sorry. Yeah.
Well, again, you were hurting.
Yeah.
And that's what kids do when they hurt, is they don't know how to process that. So what do? They act out. Go to school, you act out, and you become the teacher's worst nightmare at times, and and I'm sure teachers, they look back on some of these kids and they know, like, man, that kid, as hard as he was, man, I knew he was hurting, that kind of thing. So, but thanks for sharing that. So, you grow up, you go to high school, talk about just those time of your year. Like, what were you involved in high school? What was that look like for you?
So with my brothers, I saw them all dive in heavy with sports. They were all doing something where they were playing high school soccer. Mostly it was high school soccer. Yeah. Or football. And I love sports. So I played like about every sport you can. But at high school, I didn't see my brothers progress in like that, helping them in college or past that. And I thought it would kind of be more intelligent for me to enjoy socializing and just experience life, get to travel, get to snowboard, things like that. And so that was the route I chose. And I don't have a ton of regrets in life, but I think the power of being on a team and like having those opportunities of leadership or things like that. It's a powerful stack building confidence builder. I don't know how to say that properly, but but where you're stacking your wins. And I think that's an opportunity that a lot of people can have that I forfeited with myself to choose the social route, which was also really fun. Like I had tons of fun in high school. I had different moments in high school. High school was a time where I had a couple of really important light bulb moments that changed the trajectory of my life forever. And so I'm beyond grateful for those times and what I was able to learn.
I love that. Well, you know, we started off by talking about how you're passionate about stories and people sharing their stories.
Yeah.
Obviously our words are powerful, right? And they make a difference in people's lives. We can, you know, you can hear one word that can change the course of your life, right? You can hear one story, one sentence that just changes everything, right? And I know you get that because that's probably part of what you do. Tell us a little bit about your life legacy, what that's about. What is it, for those who don't even know what that is? How did you get involved in this? How did you get it started? All that fun stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, it's something I love to talk about, and I talk about every single day. And I think a good place to start is just why your life legacy came to fruition, and you know, where we're taking it and where it's at. But to start, I saw my dad as someone who just has a very crazy life story. And I've learned so many special gems in life that feel somewhat unique. And I just wanted my kids and grandkids to have the same opportunity as me to get those learnings from my dad. So I bugged him for about 5 years where I was like, Dad, you got to write down your story. You got to do something to capture your life.
Yeah.
And he just never, he's a serial entrepreneur, insanely busy, and never made the time to do it.
Right.
To the point where one day I was a little frustrated, and I ended up watching a Netflix documentary, and I was like, wow, this would be the coolest way to capture my dad's life and his stories if I could visually see him and like understand his passions, and while he's talking you can feel the emotion. I was like, that's how I want to capture my dad's life and his story.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about it. I started losing sleep where I was like, I need to come up with a solution for this. And so I started looking into all the solutions that were out there. They all seemed to lack something that I wanted for my father. And the ones that I wanted it to be like, they were going to be like $50,000 to $100,000 to make this video for my dad.
Yeah.
Where I decided, okay, I can make that cheaper. And that's maybe where this entrepreneur side comes in. And I was just planning on doing this project for my dad. I brought on a cinematographer that had worked for Chevrolet, been in the industry for like 30 years, really, really amazing at his job with video. And I was like, hey, let's go capture a couple other people's stories. And because I'm not going to learn on my dad's, that one's got to be perfect.
Yeah, right.
So we do those 2 other documentaries. They turn out way better than I expect. And I'm like, Dad, this thing's going and it's looking good. Like, let's start preparing for yours. And he was on board. We were preparing for it. And as we were preparing, he actually passed away unexpectedly. And it just was really hard. And I'd put a lot of work into this where it was like, we need to do this for him. And then when he passed, it was a tough experience. And I remember just when we were at the gravesite and when he's just not there anymore, I was like, we just lost so much. And there were so many things that got buried with him that don't belong there. Oh, and it gave my family and myself this giant regret where,
gosh, I can feel that, man.
Yeah. Ooh. No, it wasn't the greatest moment, obviously. Yeah. And I just realized, you know what? Hey, I'm not unique in this. People are dying all the time, and their life, studies show, even if someone's made a giant impact like my father, after 2 to 3 generations, they will just be forgotten. And so all the ups and downs of a person's life just turns to dust, to nothing. And these amazing people don't deserve that. And when that happened, I was like, you know what? I'm going to create a solution that is the most efficient and effective way to capture someone's life, to immortalize who they are and what they've done, but also those learnings are so impactful for the future generations.
Yeah.
And so that's when Your Life Legacy was created, to capture as many people's lives as we possibly can. And we've been going for 3 years, and it's been a beautiful, crazy roller coaster.
Sure, I bet.
And the education that I've learned on it has been so much fun. And it was also an area of business that I didn't have a film background or anything like that. And it gave me a lot of pros, and it gave me some cons that took a little bit to work out and figure things out.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. And sorry to hear the passing of your father. And I had known that about your story. You know, what hit me so hard is when you said so much of his story got buried with him that shouldn't be there. And anyone listening to this who has lost a loved one could probably say that about all of them. You know, my sister passed away, and there's a lot of her story that got buried with her. And so, man, what a great thing you're doing, because it allows people, if they do it now, what a legacy to leave. Because, you know, I had the opportunity years ago to meet with the ghostwriter of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Amazing.
And he told me, because he was just giving me some tips on writing a book and things like that. And he goes, if you want to leave a legacy, you got to write your story down. Yeah. And I thought, yeah. And basically his point was 100 years from now, people will forget you. But if you have your story written down, it's there forever. You know,
definitely.
If you publish on Amazon, it's probably going to be there forever, kind of thing. And so, anyway, but that really touched me when you said that. So what would that look like? Let's say, like, does someone come to you and go, hey, I want to get my story down. I want to have you document this. What does that process look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I want to touch on what you just talked about too, real quick, is something that we've learned in 2025. The average person that reads a book will retain about 10% of what they read in a book. But when it comes to video, you're a lot more captivated, and your brain's actually working on a higher frequency, and it's retaining a lot more, where the average person can retain up to 95% of what they watch in a video.
Wow.
And so
that's amazing.
That's where it's like, if you want this to hit home and also to take care of your legacy, one, of course, that's something good for you to continue to make a difference. But I think it's an obligation for your loved ones and those to come. Like, you've experienced life, and a lot of people will talk to you. They're like, I don't really have a story to tell. And it's like, well, how'd you meet your wife? How'd you get through some of these hardships? And really quick, people, will hit on gems of their story that are meaningful, that there's a lot of lessons to learn and to teach. And so I feel like as a human, it's an obligation to do that. Yeah. But it's a huge hardship, and it's a hard thing. It's a big task to take on.
Yeah.
And so people don't know how to start. A lot of people want to do it and will put in some effort to do it. And so I wanted to create a process where we could take someone's life and help them tell their story and do it in a way that it's not going to take, like, how long did it take you to write your book?
Well, if I'm being honest, it took 7 years.
Yeah. No, it was
back and forth, yeah. And it was one of those love-hate relationships.
Mm-hmm. No, that's normal.
Yeah.
And so I think the average person, it takes somewhere from like 4 to 7 years to write down their life story.
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of people don't have 4 to 7 years to do that.
Right.
And of course that's, played out through only a certain amount of hours each day and all that. And there's some solutions out there where it's somewhat faster, where it can be a year or two.
Yeah.
But I wanted to create a system that was so efficient that if you give us 5 to 10 hours of your time, the outcome will be you will have a fully polished legacy, and your loved ones will know the most important things about your life and what's been important and what you care to leave behind. So we would figure out, one, the people would come to us as well. We do trade shows and paid ads and a bunch of things to showcase our awareness, because a lot of people don't know that this is a solution that's out there. But we would figure out what would be the best end of goal that a family could have. We do a hero's journey strategy call where we get on. We're at the point where we've done so many of these that we know what most people care to talk about, but each story is personal, and we need to personalize it to capture the person properly. So we would figure out what their goals are, what's the most important and pivotal moments of their life, and we dive into that really deep. And then we create a personalized questionnaire to help them tell their own life story. Then we let them study it for a while, and then we come to their location. And normally in about 3 to 5 hours, we can capture the most important things to showcase their life in a beautiful way. And along the way, we're teaching them how to do proper storytelling, because I think everyone's been in a conversation where someone is just going on a tangent and it's like, what are we even talking about?
Where are we going with this?
Yeah. And so we help people tell their story in an effective and efficient way that paints a picture of their life, who they are really, really well, and teaches people throughout their story. And like on the podcast already, you've helped the listeners paint a picture of what my life has been like, some of the big pivotal moments and the lessons I've learned. And so it's like you get storytelling, and that's why a lot of people love your podcast. And so we just help people do that throughout their entire life, but we make it really easy for them.
That's amazing.
So we do that interview, then we don't just want to showcase who they are. We want to paint a picture of what their life has looked like. So how we do that through the resources that they have, as well as the internet, we can paint the picture of what each of those moments of life actually looked like. Oh, wow. And it brings their childhood, their other parts of their life to life, that helps the younger generations stay captivated, but also have it resonate better. Then that will all be taken to our editing team. Our editors are phenomenal, and they will take all of that and cut them up into episodes. So it's like not only a documentary, but it's a docu-series of their life story.
Right on.
And we add music and just make it really fun. And so it's like your kids are going to be watching Netflix or whatever, and they can be watching a serial killer, about their life or about their loved one, and what will actually make a difference in their world.
Boy, that sounds amazing. Do you also interview like childhood friends that are still around and things like that, where you, hey, tell us about Todd and tell us what you think of him, or do you do stuff like that as well? Yeah.
I think it's really important, like the main subjects, to have other people kind of boost them up and showcase their resume of their life from a different light.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other.
Because it's like, I can say so much about my dad, and it will showcase a different light. That, for example, there was a family, and the parents were just rock stars in every shape and form, and the kids talked about them as if they were angelical, and so then you talk with the parents, and the parents almost come across as normal people, but from the perspectives of the kids or the friends, it really showcases, wow, this is a special human, and every human is special.
Sure, yeah.
But some people have figured out life on a scale that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's also been like such an amazing education for my own life, and has taught me tons of things.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Some people have figured it out, and you seem to be one of those guys. And I mean that's a compliment for sure. Let's shift gears just a little bit, like talking a little more about your story. I mean, you carry yourself in such a good way. I mean, like I said, you started this off. You had me crying before we even started because of the kind act that you had done for me and for the people here at Wasatch. I mean, that's just the way you carry yourself. Like, what does that look like for you? How do you keep yourself grounded? I know your faith is a big part of your life. Talk a little bit about that as well. Yeah. Like, what does it look like for you to keep yourself centered?
Yeah. And in no shape or form am I perfect at what I do. And like, I'm working really hard to constantly improve, and I have my weaknesses across the board. Some really important things that have helped me. I had a lot of time in life where God wasn't in the picture in any shape or form. And I thought I was living a pretty great life still. But if I look back, scale 1 to 10 of my happiness, I was at a 7 or 8 at best, with a lot of great things going on in life where I felt like I had a great family, cool friends, cute girls were involved. Like I felt like I was living life great, and there was definitely a hole in me as a person, and I didn't understand it very well. But I had a light switch moment with God that he let me realize that he was real and that he loves me. And that shattered everything that I could have ever thought about and where my life was going. Everything changed. And so my number one thing is there's a promise that Jesus made that is my favorite thing, and it's the foundation of who I am and what I strive for. But he's talking about, don't worry about what you eat or what you're going to wear tomorrow or any of your needs. He says your Heavenly Father knows all of what you need and like your desires. And then he makes a promise that is, I believe in our mortal experience, is the most beautiful promise that we can lean on. And he says, seek first the righteousness and kingdom of God, and all these things that you need and want will be added unto you. And what that does to me is, as long as I'm intentionally trying to prioritize God as my first thought, and I'm not perfect at it in any shape or form,
right,
it gives me the opportunity and the confidence that I can achieve and do anything I want. But I've also seen one of the most fulfilling things that I can do as a human is be one of God's instruments and take that responsibility and take it seriously.
Yeah.
And it just leads to beautiful life. And I also think through some of my childhood stuff and just realizing that life is tough, I like to walk into a room, and I've learned from you taught me this phrase, but I am standing on the shoulders of giants, and a lot of them.
Yeah.
Through my education of reading, through the podcast, through documenting some unbelievable people's lives, I have learned to be a successful, all around fulfilled human. The outward mindset of focusing on how you can add value to the world instead of expecting everything of the world is when the beauty of life is shown to you. And there's just this reciprocation where if you're good to the world is going to be good to you. And even when it's not, you show up and you give your 100% in whatever aspects in your relationships, in all cases, your life's going to be a lot better. You might get hurt every once in a while, but I would so much rather go down with my ship knowing that I given everything to my relationships and the things that matter to me than to live in a lens where I see the world as a hostile place.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
So I think to bring it together, I've focused a lot on the art of fulfillment and what I believe, and this is done by research from people that are a lot more intelligent than me. But I like the mix of Tony Robbins and Arthur Brooks. Arthur Brooks talks about there's 4 fundamentals to living a fulfilled life. Number 1 is having faith. That doesn't necessarily mean having a faith in God, but having faith in something bigger than yourself. And it's not just you in life. Like, there's got to be a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
Number 2 is having high quality family relationships. Number 3 is having high quality friendships. And number 4 is around your work. And it's cut into 2 pieces. One part of that is you should be achieving and striving to achieve your life purpose and what you care to achieve in your life. And the other side of that is around service. You need to be serving, and it's hard to like put metrics behind serving, but something that Tony Robbins taught in a book that I loved was service is one of the most precious and important things to living a fulfilled life. And I decided I need to figure out a metric where I can be doing this ongoing. And so I decided a long time ago that I am going to give 5% of whatever income I make to serving. And as I've done that, I've noticed it's opened up opportunities to help me be an instrument for people that need it. And I've had people come to my life in those moments of need they were God-sent moments.
Yeah.
But it's because I've set up a structure that helps me serve.
Dang. We had one of those God moments before we started, didn't we?
We did.
We did. And that's because of your 5% service club, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing, dude. Seriously, like, man, I love just learning from people, man. I'm just learning so much from you. And also, I'm a big fan of Arthur Brooks.
Yeah.
I actually met him in person. He signed a book for me. He was at a conference that we were in charge of, that he was our guest keynote speaker, and got to meet him. He's like on my bucket list to get on this show. I've reached out to him a few times. He hasn't responded, but I'm still working on it. Anyway, love what you said. Very well said. And you mentioned you had this like light switch moment with God, and just how it was just one of those moments that changed the course of your life, right?
Yeah.
Man, you're amazing, dude. I love what you're sharing there. I know that legacy is a big part of what you're helping people leave and do. I know you want to leave a legacy, and what do you hope for that to look like for you?
Yeah. It's a very important question, and you can have a very insignificant life or a very significant life. And I was blessed while I served a mission in Saltillo, Mexico. I was reading the scriptures one day, and I got hit with a thought that wasn't my thought, but it was for me. And it was, Jaxon, your life purpose is to positively influence hundreds of thousands of people's lives to help them make a pivotal change that will forever upgrade the quality of their life. And I've now changed that to millions of people, because I want to shoot for the moon with my life. But I was showcased my purpose here on earth. And so my goal in life is to help be the pivotal instrument in other people's lives that will forever bring them closer to God and Christ and make their life a little bit better.
I love that. I have, again, going back to standing on shoulders of giants, many giants in my life as well. And one of the giants taught me to create this personal declaration statement, which I've done. And in that declaration statement, years and years ago, I was really bold in it. And I says, I'm sharing my story, inspiring millions and millions of people all over the world, right? And I had this vision on how that would happen, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to maybe be flying around the world and speaking to large groups. And I've done that, but not on the level I thought it would be. But now I look back and it's came to pass. It's like, my story's been shared 10 million times in 3 different languages all over the world. And it's like, and it happened in a way I didn't think it would happen, but it happened. And so going back to what you were saying, the reason why I bring that up is how powerful our words, when you said, I'm going to switch that to millions, because I think you will. I have no doubt that you will.
Thank you.
Touch the hearts of millions and inspire them and help them leave their legacy and help them be, whatever their faith may be, bringing them closer to their God and to whatever they, look at their higher power. And I have no doubt you'll do that. And I keep going back to what,
a lot.
yeah. And I know I've said this 3 times now, but what happened before we even started, that was a God moment for me. So thank you. Like it really was. I told you I wasn't expecting. I started bawling my eyes out, and I'm getting teared up right now about it. Again, it's because you're intentional about making a difference. Like you like, okay, what am I going to do today? I had this amazing girl on my podcast, Madeline, last week, and she had a little sticky note that she has on her mirror that says, "Someone needs me today." And it was a reminder to her, who am I? Someone out there needs me, and I'm going to go out there and make a difference. And it's just great to rub shoulders with this younger generation who are just doing amazing things.
Well, yeah, when there's people like you to look up to, I think it makes it a lot easier, and it makes it seem enjoyable. Yeah. Like when I get to have a conversation with you where you're doing all these things with a lot of intention, and I've just been very grateful for the opportunities where someone like you showcases what's possible.
Yeah.
And that you really can literally alter someone's life. And I've met so many people from you being on the podcast. I've had so many people come up and say Todd Sylvester was like a turning point in my life.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
And so we're fortunate enough to have the resources.
Yeah.
And we're in an age of we can learn anything that we want.
Right. Yeah.
And with that comes the opportunity to get to understand phenomenal humans that are changing the world. And I think it helps inspire a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the same point of that, there's so much distraction. You have to be intentional with where you're putting your efforts and your time, or else society right now, if you look at every statistic of what average human life is like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so you are in a river that is going downstream, where you think about the average health, you think about the average marriage, you think of the most important things, where the average male has almost no friends, or you think of service, like how many people are intentionally serving. You have to be intentionally going upstream with a vision. If there's not the vision and somewhat of a framework of how you're going to reach these things, you are just going to continue with the statistics. And that's just not a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
And it takes effort. And so my invitation to anyone is really sit down and give yourself 5-10 minutes and decide where that vision is taking you. Like where do you want to take your own life, and find the intentions, set goals, and figure out how to become that person of what you want. Yeah. And I feel like you do that on a high scale. And so
thanks.
Thank you for showing that leadership.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm grateful that someone showed me the way when I needed it at the time, and it really does make a difference when we're intentional and we, like you said, set those goals, kind of know where you're going. It can change because we can take pivots all along the way, as you said too. But yeah, thank you for saying that and sharing that. Very well said, man. You're just very well spoken. I love this. Go
ahead. Can I add something?
Please.
There?
Yeah, please.
With the pivots, I've envisioned exactly where I'm going in a lot of different moments of my life, and it has turned out extremely different. But something that we all have access to is we all have a life board advisor or a life coach that knows all things, and you have the opportunity to ask God these questions of what do I need to focus on? Where do I need to pivot? I'm not liking where I'm currently at in life. Ask God what you need to work on, and that's a prayer that you'll get an answer to almost every time. If you are showcasing that you are trying to progress for reasons that will help your own life, that will help humanity, God will show you what you should work on and where you can turn to help you with that vision of where you can take things. So just another thought that I think is so important.
No, thank you for adding that. That's powerful. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, very well said. So you've got a lot going on. You got the podcast, you got your business. You're just out there trying to make a difference. What do you have any future plans, future goals that you could maybe share with us? Like, hey, I'm currently also going to be working on this anytime soon. Anything you can share with us about some future things you're going to be doing?
Yeah, that gets me excited. I love that. To start with Your Life Legacy, I'm not stopping until we have changed genealogy and until we are creating simple forms where every first world country at least can be capturing their life in a form that Your Life Legacy will kind of, build that industry into the most effective and efficient ways where everyone on earth can really capture their story to make a difference for generations. And so that's like one of those big ones that's like, you know what, the how is pretty tough to figure that out, but the why is strong enough that the how will find itself. And instead of the how, there's the who, and a lot of amazing people have came into my path that are helping me create the actionable steps to actually curating the opportunity where that's going to be a reality, I believe, in the next 5 years.
Dude.
So that's a big one. I love dating. I'm currently single and I'm really excited to have my family. I know you can chase success and impact and all that, but from any successful, well-rounded human I've talked to, it comes down to the relationships. And I just want to have a bunch of kids and a wife that, we get to support each other's goals and achieve what we want in life together. I find that really exciting. I think the podcast is a cool environment to create meaningful relationships, like what happened with you and me. And I think it's the ultimate PhD that you can get. Just bring on phenomenal humans that have beautiful insights.
No doubt about that.
I'm really excited for what the future has, and grateful for it as well.
Yeah, beautiful. If there's someone listening to your voice right now and they're in a really dark place in their life, they are struggling, and I guarantee you someone's tuning in who's in that space, what would you tell that person right now?
Yeah, it just gave me chills. And first, I'd want them to know that me personally, I love them. And people come in moments where it feels hopeless. And I've had moments where things have felt pretty hopeless at times. And I would tell them, you need to grab onto something. And the greatest thing that you could grab onto is understanding that they have a Father in heaven that loves them and will do anything for them to help their life. And I think it starts with hope. And then that can create faith in a higher being, but also within themselves. And there's moments where the beauty of life typically comes after the darkness of hell. And if you're sitting there, one, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. But 2, I promise it's just for a moment, and things will get better. And just know that you're loved. And if you're listening to this and you're going through a hard time and you don't know where to go, please reach out. And I don't have all the answers of anything, but I'm surrounded by a lot of amazing people that do. And so I will do everything in my power to help your world. And I mean that with all my heart. So please reach out.
Well said, my friend. And I want to back you up. Jaxon would help anybody. And so we're going to make that possible, that they can reach out to you. It reminds me of what James Allen says. The seed must contend with the darkness before it can enjoy the light.
Wow.
Think about that. The seed's buried in the ground, and it's fighting darkness the entire time, boulders and rocks, and it's just fighting, and there's nothing there. And eventually it breaks through the ground, if you will, and there's the light finally. And that's kind of what we go through when we're going through a struggle. And so you said it perfectly, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what James Allen says, just a little different.
I've just thought back on my life. A simple example, when my parents got a divorce, it gave this raw, genuine feel of family where we all needed each other. And that hardship actually took us farther away from each other, but in a form, it really brought us really close. And so I think the trials are the moments that teach you, what really matters in life, and can be some of the most important life lessons and learnings. But also, just know that God will not give you a trial that you can't overcome.
Yeah. Love it. If people want to reach out to you, Jaxon, they want to know more about your life legacy, your podcast, just and to be able to even reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. Your Life Legacy, you can find us on our website. If you just type in Your Life Legacy anywhere, social media, Your Life Legacy, everything. My podcast, the same exact setup. Okay. We respond best probably on social media, and me personally, you can reach me through my Instagram. Just send me a DM, or on LinkedIn, you can send me a DM. It's Jaxon Cummings. My parents went a little wild with the X, Jaxon, and the Instagram is Jaxon Cummings Official. And I'd love to chat with anyone.
Yeah. We'll make it easy. We'll put the links in the show notes so they can do that. But dude, thank you so much for being here. Yeah. I have felt a very strong light and spirit from you today. Thank you for making my day, and for coming here and sharing and getting vulnerable with us today as well, and sharing your story with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I have nothing but pure love towards you, and
thanks.
Thank you for the honor to be able to get to talk today, and I'm just excited for all that you're doing, and if I can add value to you or any of your listeners in any shape or form, I'm happy to. Yeah, and I'd love to.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, my friend, and thank you for being here. I know those goals that you have are going to come to pass. I have no doubt, because of the way you do things and the way you treat people.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. And thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. Okay, there you go, folks. I could talk to Jaxon all day. We're ending it now, so we're going to leave you wanting more, so that's a good thing. Please reach out to him. Click on those links. So go right to him, and reach out to him and ask him any question. If you're struggling with anything, if you wanted to, maybe document your life, or you have a loved one who should probably be documenting their life, reach out to Jaxon as well, and he'll get you set up with all that. And if you have someone that you know that is struggling, if you have a friend, you're not sure how to break the ice with them, send them a link to this episode. Just say, hey friend, listen to this episode. I'll follow back up with you. It'll break the ice, and you can follow back up with them and say, hey, what can I do to help you? That'll open up a great conversation. So please do that. Again, thanks to my sponsors. I love you guys. You're the best. And one last thank you to Jaxon Cummings. He's the best. Please reach out to him. I love you all. Till next time.
Thank you.
You bet, brother.